We're going to watch this Chris Norland video called Explaining Musk Trump Era to Our Grandkids. The use of the child. Is Elon Musk not like allowing Donald Trump to use his child on occasion? It seems like Donald Trump walking to the helicopter the other day, it feels a lot like they're using the kid. It's kind of fucking crazy.
So the Elon Musk, Donald Trump clown show continues, and I was thinking about this today. How are we going to explain this era to our kids and our grandkids? Well, The Guardian has an answer. Check out this headline. Eggings, swastikas, and dog poop. Tesla bears brunt of people's ire against Musk. And yes,
dude.
This is really what we're talking about. I guess dog poop is the
happy early birthday, Jake.
Our era that we're in.
We got it.
On top of that, we also have this. Eggs are so expensive, people are smuggling them in from Mexico. And that's coming from the Wall Street Journal. So this is actually a...
Oh, Jesus Christ. Can you imagine? You're in Mexico and you're like, somebody's like, here's some fentanyl. And you're like, no. Let me get them eggs. Also, that's a difficult thing to smuggle. Like, what if you got like a backpack full of eggs and you're fucking crossing the border? Some border patrol agents hot on your tail, and you're like, whoa, don't hit the backpack. Bro, I got like $6,000 worth of eggs in that backpack. It's the dumbest timeline. Oh, God. Lil X showed up on Elon's shoulders when the CEO got shot. He used the sun as a shield. There's a few videos about it making the rounds. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the fucking timing was like insane. It's too close, man. All of a sudden, dude's got his kid everywhere he goes. You cannot convince me that shit isn't a little sus. It's definitely sus, dude. And thank you to everybody wishing Jake a happy birthday. That's what the community is about. That's what it's about right there. Happy birthday, Jake. Let's see. Jen said, dude, did you watch the Sam Cedar debate, MAGA on Jubilee? I have not watched it yet. There's too many fucking videos. I got to get to all of them. What's happening, Jen? I got to watch that. I will watch that. Because I like Sam Cedar. I mean, sometimes not my favorite, but I do like Sam Cedar. I like everybody. No one ever has the exact same opinions as me, and I like that. That's good. That's the way it's supposed to be. I like people for the things that they get right and the things that they change my mind on, the information they expose me to.
Captures our era that we're in. On top of that, we also have this. Eggs are so expensive, people are smuggling them in from Mexico. And that's coming from the Wall Street Journal. So this is actually a real problem. You don't want to be smuggling food from various countries. I'm sure you guys know this. It's a real issue. And on top of that, people are like, you know what? Forget about, smuggling, we'll just call this, needles and other kinds of substances.
He's about to make
Let's
my
go with
joke.
eggs, because that's
He's
actually
making
worth
my
the most
joke right
money
now.
these days, because eggs are really expensive. That's how crazy our world is. And I know I laugh at it because it's like, it's so insane. On top of that, we have to deal with the Musk stuff on a daily basis. Him and his Doge want to fire you. And what he does then...
And just so everybody knows, this is supposed to be the lessening of the avian flu. And you can thank Joe Biden for that. So all the dipshits that have been crying about the chickens that were destroyed, the 135 million over the last 3 months worth of chickens that have been destroyed. For all the dipshit MAGA supporters out there that are about to be like, we beat the avian flu. No, you didn't. Because your dumbass wouldn't have murdered those chickens. Because you're like, no, we're going to get egg prices. They're going to be lower. We got to keep them alive. Because you don't understand how that industry works. Medium eggs are starting to go down. Large eggs are not. Large eggs have increased in price. Medium have lessened a little bit. But right now, where medium eggs are is kind of like the same thing as gas. So when gas is like $5.50 and it goes down to $4.75, people say it lowered but it is still high. So medium eggs, I'm not going to fucking lie to you. I'm going to tell you medium eggs have lowered, but they are still high. Okay? But remember, in 2 months, when Trump and MAGA supporters are claiming we beat the avian flu, they didn't do a goddamn thing. Okay? Presidents do not affect egg prices without price controls, which is something that they were talking about. Yeah, all of a sudden they're going to start investigating big egg producers. Oh, so now you guys are good with price controls. You're good with banning price gouging. Yeah, I remember another presidential candidate that talked about that, and you guys called her communist. I remember that. But with that being said, there's a potential that eggs will get cheaper soon. But it's not going to be because Donald Trump did something. So you can fucking quote me on this before these dipshits come out and start claiming victory.
And is tweet out to his fans. On top of that, we have to deal with the Musk stuff on a daily basis. Him and his Doge want to fire you. And what he does then is tweet out to his fans these kind of videos. And I want to show you this because I think it really captures kind of, again, the era that we're in. If you're a Tesla Elon Musk fan, you can burn your car. Without a sledgehammer, you can shoot your car, right? This is what appeals to Elon Musk fanboys and fangirls.
Oh my God. It's amazing. It's like there is no better example of who it is that's buying this shit. Oh,
I guess they
amazing.
dream about, how tough the Cybertruck is. Musk has also marketed his vehicles as being zombie-proof, apocalypse-proof, that kind of stuff. Seriously.
A bunch of people that think they're going to survive an apocalypse because they own a Cybertruck that are going to die from the very first stab wound they have like in their fucking body, or they're going to die of their diabetes because they can't get their fucking medication. But don't worry, you got a Cybertruck, bro. You're definitely going to survive the apocalypse because having a Cybertruck is the number one thing you need to have to survive the apocalypse. It's the dumbest human beings on earth.
And that's why this kind of stuff, he knows how to capture his audience. Crowbars. What else we got here? Oh, is that a pickaxe? I guess. There's a laser at one point.
What the fuck?
There's a screwdriver and the bowling ball.
Hold on. Did he just take a wood saw? Did he just take a wood saw to a metal truck?
There's a laser at one point.
Oh my God. Like what the fuck is that proving?
There's a screwdriver and the bowling ball, and last but not least, the brick, and they got a baseball bat. I'm showing you guys this stuff
solid
because
swing.
again, this is
pretty good
form. Up to.
Why flamethrower?
Because I think one time Musk said that when given the options of different choices, choose the one that's most entertaining. That's the mentality that we're in the USA, and I think it reflects the rise of.
Yeah, and that's something I've talked about on this channel before, is that like I can make 1 million videos talking about things that matter. They'll all get 50 views. I make one video that Joe Rogan muttered that Donald Trump was wearing a diaper on his podcast, and it's got 200K views. And that's why it's so important that I have you guys here as members, and it's consistent that you guys are here and in the community all the time. Is it reminds me that people do care and people do want to hear some of the things that we talk about that are important, along with the stuff that's funny as well. Because it is very easy as a content creator to get trapped in audience capture, where if I wanted to make money from YouTube, all I would make is videos making fun of Joe Rogan, videos making fun of TYT, and videos about like all the like entertaining stuff that happens. Because you guys can go through my channel, you can look at all my videos. The videos with the highest amounts of views are the ones that are funny or entertaining, and the ones with the lowest amount of views are the ones where I talk about media and stuff. But I'm not going to stop doing that because I think it's important, and I think it's important to you guys. So one thing I just want to say to everybody is remember, when you have somebody like From the Enemy Within, I watched one of his videos. Really good. Speaks very well, very knowledgeable, speaks about topics that are very important. I love looking at his channel and seeing the consistency in the views on his videos, because that means that he's able to talk about things that are important and still get that audience capture. Other content creators will fall into the method of audience capture, and they will continue to produce whatever video it is that got them the most amount of views. And that's how we get MAGA. That's how we get this culture where people only give a shit about things that are extreme or that are funny or that are entertaining. And that's how you get idiocracy. So, like, what he's saying there is very important. There's a lot of people. I guarantee you that video with the Cybertruck probably got millions of views or hundreds of thousands of views. Meanwhile, there's probably a video where somebody is using their own life experience to explain to you how people in impoverished communities are affected that will get 50. So remember, your like, your subscribe, your comments are your power to help voices that are actually important get out there and be heard. And just so you guys know, this isn't me selling me. I'm selling other people. I think I'm fucking bottom of the barrel. I think that there are a lot of people out there that should have millions of subscribers. I'm not saying that's me. I know I got a lot of work to do, and I'm going to continue to work hard and keep doing my thing. And hopefully one day I'll be able to say that I belong up there with those people too. But use your power wisely.
Of, reality-based TV or reality TV, although it's not really real. The Donald Trump got his real fame from The Apprentice, and everyone was like, oh my God, look how awesome of a CEO he is. And for those of you who don't know this, the reason why they picked Donald Trump to be on The Apprentice, not because he was the most awesome business person of all time, it was because all the really good CEOs were busy. And they needed to cast someone for the show. And they're like, well, Donald Trump was available. And then the producers sort of built up this narrative that he's so awesome despite having 6 bankruptcies. That's the world that we live in. It's like, when in doubt, just choose the person that's most entertaining. And to be fair, Trump does come with a lot of dramas, right? 3 wives, multiple kids, multiple women, bankruptcies, casinos, etc. On top of that, and I want to capture some of the ears that we're in, which I mentioned the whole dog poop and swastika thing. Whenever you see, things about Musk, you'll get these kind of headlines. This is also from The Guardian. Notable Tesla investor says he hopes Musk's government role is, quote, short-lived. Whenever you see a lot of people, touting Musk and saying how awesome he is, it's actually not people from the tech world, because they all call him out as a fraud and a conster. It's actually people from basically finance saying, well, I like Elon Musk because he makes me rich and his stock goes up.
And he buys companies, right? So this is one of the things that drives me nuts. There is a proper place for saying a person is good at something, right? And oftentimes people tend to see that somebody is good at one thing, and so they apply other things to their success. So you say something along the lines of somebody's really good at mathematics, and that gets them really far in the world, therefore they're a genius. Well, they might be a genius in mathematics, but they might be shit at grammar. They might be a terrible public speaker. They might be a horrible leader. I can tell you from personal experience, the number of people that I've met in my life that are really good at specific things, but are absolute dog shit leaders. Because knowing how to help people and knowing when to interact, when to discipline, when to motivate, that takes a person that is not just educated, but emotionally intelligent. Somebody that understands what makes people tick. So oftentimes what he's saying here is 100% true. People that have no real relevancy to what the person is as far as their genius goes tend to say that person's a genius because they don't understand. I've said this before about Donald Trump. Growing up in a trailer park, so many people, if you were to say Donald Trump's a fucking moron, they would say, well, how much money do you have? Because they equate money with being intelligent. They also equate it with success. But that's not even true. Because there are tons of people, Donald Trump included, that are successful because of where they come from. The connections and status that they have are much more important than any type of financial that they have. So when we talk about Elon Musk being popular, he's not popular with tech people because they know he's a fraud. Who he's popular with is your average everyday person, and then people that look at money as being success. That's why you have a guy like this saying, I can't wait for Elon Musk to get out of the fucking government because he's tanking my stock, because he recognizes Elon Musk has zero fucking expertise to be in the government. And he's only fucking the only people that think that he's doing a good job elsewhere. And that's the people that want him to make them money. That's the crazy part.
Up. And essentially, I have to bring this up because people, you know, when they think about Musk, they know he's rich, right? And they'll say, well, he's got that Tesla thing. But you have to understand the real reason why people really like the guy, talking about Musk, is that he's really good at pumping up his stock.
Yep.
He's really good at,
he makes other people
quote, providing
money.
value.
Just not us.
Depends on how you want to define that. To shareholders, meaning that if you did invest in Tesla, which is completely true, the stock went up. It's completely true. The stock went up. And I want you to just think about this, is that the skills that we want in government? Someone who can essentially hype up a company, tell lies, essentially be a con and a cynical artist, pump up the value for shareholders. Is that the kind of skills that you want in government? Some people maybe say yes. They say yes. Government's all about firing people, cutting corners, sleek advertising, I guess. So, for example, this is one of the stock promoters, because Elon's got a bunch of these paid people out there to promote his stock. That's what pumping up a stock is, right? This is Sawyer Merritt, and they were telling someone on CNN, oh, now it's your, American duty to buy a Tesla. That's what they're going with these days. And all of this sort of cultural era that we're in reminds me of sort of why things are falling apart in USA.
Yep.
This is a perfect example. So on the one side, you have Elon Musk and his fanboys and fangirls that think sledgehammers and crowbars and flamethrowers and, zombie-proof Teslas are awesome. And then on the same turn, these kind of people, right, the Musk and all his camp, they want to cut the Department of Education, right? So this is the headline today. Department of Education cuts expected to have a huge impact on teachers, right? It's the kind of people that hate teachers, right? You know, these people that they hate to do their homework. The dog always ate it. There's always some stupid excuse. And that's kind of what Musk has done for years. If you've ever followed his company, and I know a lot of people actually don't follow it, which I completely understand, right? So the average person, you just know he's rich. You know he's got that Tesla company and you know he's rich. But if you actually follow him and you actually ever listen to him speak, you're like, oh my God, this guy's obviously a con artist. And they're always...
McCarthy, during the Red Scare with McCarthy, one of the reasons that Joseph McCarthy was so successful in running the Red Scare and abusing his authority and power was not very many people had TVs. And obviously the internet didn't exist back then. And so many people only knew about McCarthy through short quotes and statements in the newspapers. And since it was really popular at that point, in fact, it was a complete detriment to not be positive about the Red Scare, but it was really popular at that time to, spread the fear of communism. And so McCarthy was really good at giving people quotes. He was very good at giving them those quotes right before they had to publish, to not give them time to be able to fact check them. Sound familiar? Like I said, Roy Cohn is connected to Donald Trump. Roy Cohn was a protege of Joseph McCarthy. So one of the craziest things was that no one saw him ever in any type of interview, or they didn't see him in these trials. Very few people had televisions at that time. So what happened, and a lot of stuff wasn't televised either, right? There was no reason to televise a committee, a government committee back then. So what happened was this lawyer named Welch was hired to, there was a case against the United States Army where McCarthy was saying that the Army had a huge amount of communists within it and that they weren't doing anything about it. So Eisenhower said, okay, let's have a committee. He set it up. He said, you're going to argue your side of the argument that the Army is hiding this stuff, and the government side is going to show that you have reasons of your own for continuing the Red Scare and doing the things that you're doing. But that's paraphrasing. Eisenhower was actually very subtle about the way he went about this with McCarthy. In doing so, Welch, who was the lawyer, He's a Southern guy, real funny, very quirky guy. Was a very charismatic person, and he knew that at the end of the day, this wasn't a trial. It was all about the court of public opinion. And he knew if he could make McCarthy on TV look like a fraudster, look like a con man, then people would finally realize that what was going on was all bullshit and that they would stop following McCarthy. And that's exactly what happened. There's a really cool part in the story where he had a young man on his staff that had connections to communism that he had sent home, and he had made a pact with Roy Cohn to not mention that Cohn had dodged the draft and had used deferments as long as he didn't bring up the communism thing about his staffer. Now, he did that on purpose because he knew at one point or another McCarthy couldn't help himself, because Cohn wasn't supposed to tell McCarthy about it, but he did anyways. So during that time, while they're on trial, he was badgering Cohn about other things and just hammering him over and over again. But what he was trying to do is he's trying to get McCarthy worked up. McCarthy finally gets so worked up that he starts calling for points of order, personal points of order, where he's claiming that one of Welch's staffers was a communist and he had communist connections. And that played right into Welch's hands. So instead of avoiding it, he said, yes, that young man made mistakes. And here we are in front of the entire country, and you are trying to ruin this young man's life. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel good? And McCarthy just continued. He didn't know the trap. He didn't know he was in a trap. And he continued to hammer him on it because that's what he was used to being able to do. He was used to being able to manipulate the American citizenry by making them fear communism. But he fucked up because this time everybody got to see him. They got to see him on TV, not a quote in a newspaper. They got to see him. And at one point or another, Welch shuts him down and the entire courtroom applauds, the reporters, everybody. And McCarthy looks at his aides and goes, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Because he didn't understand. He didn't do anything wrong. He was just him. And everybody finally got to see who he was. And that is the problem with America today, is that they can clearly see who the fuck Elon Musk is, and they're deciding to disassociate with it and act like he isn't this fucking con man, act like he isn't a snake oil salesman, act like he isn't a dude that just wants to be able to shoot off as many rockets and blow up as many of them as possible, as long as it results in him getting to get to Mars so he can secure for himself some type of legacy. That's the problem right now. And if you want to guess what it's from, it's on the screen right now. It's because of education. It's because of ignorance. It's because people have decided that they want to be a bunch of fucking dumbasses and they want to be entertained nonstop, 24/7. They want to be overstimulated and undereducated, and they want to be blissfully fucking ignorant.
Always constantly attacking education. That's why I mentioned before the people who tout Musk are generally being in the finance industry from Wall Street, not necessarily engineers or people who are knowledgeable on the subject. And in fact, for example,
Pinker, he also
there's an AI expert,
George C.
Lacan,
Marshall,
who's
which was
over
a
at
mistake,
Meta. He's
Eisenhower
like
loved
one of the
Marshall.
top people in AI. He's always criticizing Musk, be it whatever favorite engineer that you like to talk about. I'll just say that they all criticize Musk because it's obvious this guy. And so he's very anti-education. I am concerned about the education thing. I think it matters quite a bit. And then we gloss over this kind of stuff because there's so much chaos out there. But for those of you who understand the seriousness of this, you'll get it. This was a headline also today. Doge set to close California NOAA offices that conduct ocean fishery research. Basically, our weather satellites and such.
Oh my God.
Musk wants to take over that stuff and have all the contracts go over to Starlink. And remember, his qualifications in terms of talking about Musk is he's really good at communicating with people who want to be entertained. That's what it boils down to. And he's really good at getting Wall Street, money and pumping up a stock and essentially building this mythos about himself that may not necessarily be true. And I feel like sort of where we're going, maybe after the Musk and Trumps are done, why not just have Tom Brady as our president, right? He can throw a football really.
That's idiocracy for you right there. It's just heading straight to idiocracy. It's this idea that once you've taken the guardrails off of who it is that we see as being intelligent, who it is that we see as being professional, who it is we see as being leaders, that eventually you end up just always wanting to be entertained. It's the Biden thing, right? Like, people hated Biden because Biden didn't give speeches. They hated Biden because Biden didn't have rallies. He wasn't on TV all the time. Like, look at how much people have complained about the time Biden was at the beach. And since then, you look at what Trump has done. Trump's been at Daytona. Trump's been at the Super Bowl. Trump's been out golfing. Trump's constantly like giving rallies and stuff like that. That is, it's the fireworks. That's what people want to see. They want loud explosions. Like, at the end of the day, you might not agree with Joe Biden's foreign policy, but domestically, if you don't think that Joe Biden was successful as a president, you're going to have to prove that to me. You're going to have to show me how negating debt for 10% of our college debtors out there, which, yeah, by the way, I wanted it all forgiven too. But show me another president that has forgiven that much college debt. 10% of all borrowers in our country had their debt forgiven. Both public entities, public citizens, and federal employees. 10% of them, $200 billion, $188 billion was forgiven. The economy was going fucking great until Trump took over. Grocery prices were slowly becoming lower and lower. The avian flu, at the end, when he made those decisions to kill those chickens, were decisions that were going to negate and help lower those prices. You can claim that Joe Biden was not a fun president. You can say he wasn't a pretty dude. You can say he didn't give great speeches, which wouldn't be true about him 5 years ago. But yeah, you're right. As he got older, he didn't speak that well. But if you would rather have a fucking wrestler up there with fireworks exploding in the background, driving around Daytona, than a guy that makes the economy stronger coming out of a global pandemic, a person who held things together during one of the most difficult times in recent American history, then you deserve what you get. And when you find yourself in a place where the economy's bad, every country in the world hates you, you can't travel anywhere because you're seen as an American and being an American is bad, you voted for that shit. That's what you wanted, because instead of like wanting the boring, more successful, more stable person, you wanted fireworks and you wanted entertainment. And so you got it. But obviously there's some side effects, some repercussions. Nina, $4.99. Is that a crying controller? That's a crying controller. That's what I feel like when I don't get to play video games. I don't even get to play that much anymore. Upgrade. Spelled with 2 D's for a double dose of pimping. Oh, 5 Alarm. That is the goddamn truth. Oh, man. Muriel. Welcome, Muriel. Welcome. Nana. What's up, Nana? Oh, I hope you're feeling better, Nana. I appreciate you being here. Let's get some fucking boring motherfuckers back in the White House, dude.
And
let's get some boring people in there.
and I think Tom Brady would probably run on the more Republican side. And if you want to go on the left-leaning side, chances are maybe we're gonna have Mark.
Dude, I don't know how many of you guys watch football, but Tom Brady, a Trump supporter, 100% a Trump supporter, said multiple times during the season, because he did a couple Eagles games, because there's a lot of primetime Eagles games this year, right? And I don't know if he meant to do it or not, but he kept saying, one of the terms that he kept using over and over again was, they're like playing the Packers, and he's like, boy, that defense needs to build that wall. And I was like, okay, Trump supporter. And he said it so many times. He's like, when you get the offensive line and they're down in the trenches, they really got to build that wall. And I was like, I don't know if Tom Brady's just another brainwashed MAGA minion NPC that just repeats the same shit everybody else does, and he doesn't realize he's doing it right now on air? Or if he's like just straight up like, yeah, I fucking like using Trump terminology all the time, but he kept fucking saying, they got to build that wall.
Mark Cuban's going to be running for president, right? He's got a TV show called Shark Tank where he gives people a chance. And people.
Hold on, I'm going to argue with Trent. Trent says, saying the economy was good under Biden is silly. Bad economy and inflation is probably the main reason Trump was elected. No, Trent. The main reason that Donald Trump was elected is because people are politically fucking illiterate. And when you say that the economy was bad, you're going to need to fucking prove that to me because you're fucking wrong. Because we came out of a global pandemic with the best fucking economy in the entire fucking globe. In fact, if you want to be fucking honest about it, China at one point during Trump's administration was projected to catch the American economy and to pass it. Where are they at now, Trent? Where's China's economy? How are they doing? Well, they might pass it now, actually, now that Trump's president. They might pass it now. You see, because by every single metric that we judge the economy by, GDP, CPI, whatever you want, it was good. It was doing way better than it was coming out of the pandemic. The stock market was doing fine. You can't say the economy was bad unless you can back that up with facts and statistics. Remember, Trent, you guys are the fuck your feelings crowd. So I got to tell you, Trent, I'm going to tell you, if you say that it felt bad, I'm going to tell you, fuck your feelings. You got to back up that shit with facts and statistics. Not I think and I feel. And I can back it up with facts and statistics.
People like that TV show, right? And he owns a basketball team. He's really, really rich.
I appreciate you.
That's sort of what Americans are thinking these days in terms of how they understand government and understand business. So many people out there is like, wow, we just need really, really rich people to run government. But you have to understand, guys, government is different than business. Remember, Musk's talent is pumping up the stock, right?
In fact, if you want to be honest, right now, this guy is telling you exactly why Donald Trump was elected. He's telling you that you and everybody like you that voted for Donald Trump only want somebody. Yeah, I did miss you. Because you know I like confrontation. He's literally telling you why you voted for Donald Trump. He's telling you that you don't have any facts or evidence to support the logic that you have found your way to, but you really like who he is, the charisma, the leader, like the fake leadership, because it's not leadership, the faux leadership, the presentation, the image. That's what you like. Because at no point can you say right now that Donald Trump's economy is good. Donald Trump can't say that his economy is good. You can't say that going into a recession is better than avoiding a recession. You can't say, and look, I don't use the stock market to judge how everyday people are doing, right? I use the stock market to judge retail investor and big corporations' attitudes towards the economy. So there is some things that you can take from the stock market when it comes to being like middle class, lower middle class. But the majority of what I'm going to use the stock market to explain is almost always going to be what it looks like institutional. That's what I keep thinking. I'm trying to remember the fucking name. Institutional investors and retail investors. Even the stock market right now fucking hates Donald Trump. And that's Donald Trump's people. There is no evidence at this point that Donald Trump has done better than Joe Biden. Zero. Nada. Nothing. Even if you want to take Donald Trump's old economy, even if you want to take the 2017 economy, which I've said this on multiple occasions, if you take a graph of American history and our economy, it's almost always nothing but up. There's little deviations, the depression, the housing crisis, but almost always up. And that's because during the 2009 election, Barack Obama won. And Barack Obama gassed this economy up to the fucking nines. In fact, Barack Obama had cheaper gas than Donald Trump ever did. And Donald Trump, the only time he came close to having as cheap a gas as Barack Obama did was during COVID, when people were in their houses quarantined and demand for gas was fucking nothing. Donald Trump did nothing but golf and live off of Barack Obama's economy. So even if you want to make the argument that Biden's economy wasn't better than the 2017 through 2021 economy, you would actually need to argue that Biden's economy wasn't as good as Obama's, because Obama's economy, that was Trump's economy. Yeah.
It's pumping up the stock, sleek marketing, these
MF
kind of things.
Doom.
It is also getting people excited and hyped up. Government should be slow and should be boring. it shouldn't really change so much so quickly. Because, like, for example, if I'm going to do any change to Social Security or your veterans benefits or Medicare, these kind of
things,
I want to make sure it works. I don't want to go for 97% accuracy. I want to go for 100% accuracy. I don't want to fail some of the time. I want to fail none of the time, right? And this is something I just want to have a chat with you. And I think a lot of this boils down to you have a lot of people that have misconceptions about what education is, the misconceptions of what businesses, these kind of things, and misconception of who Elon Musk is. And so I try to do this all the time and talk about this stuff. On top of that, you have a real problem here, and this one's really hard to address because I can't even use the words they say on Fox News because of the headlines they're reading. We'll just say they reference deletion, okay? And cultural deletion is sort of how they reference it. But and you guys know the words that you're not good to say on YouTube. But just have a listen to JD Vance, and you'll get a sense of who these people are.
We believe that we have a great deal in common with Europe. And I'm not, yes, the Europeans annoy me sometimes, and yes, I disagree with them on certain issues, but we have to remember that is the cradle of Western civilization. The entire idea of Christian civilization that led to the founding of the United States of America, that was formed in Europe. The cultural bonds, the religious bonds, these things are going to last beyond political.
And if you want to watch the whole thing that Vance has to say, you can. But what it boils down
No. That's the dumbest take. Oh my God. You know the worst thing is, JD Vance is not a stupid person. And anybody that doesn't take JD Vance's intellect seriously is going to be fucking caught completely off guard, and that's a bad thing. Like I've said before, you shouldn't, just because you dislike somebody or because you think they're evil or because you don't like the things that they believe, you should never discount their intelligence. And JD Vance proved that he is a politician through and through, and he's not a stupid politician. That was a stupid fucking statement. And he's only saying that because he knows who the people that follow him are. He knows that he's not speaking to intelligent people. He's speaking to the basic MAGA supporter and saying, don't worry, like, it's all going to be good because these people, we come from these people. We have connections to these people. No. Every single day, Donald Trump is forcing allies and potential allies further and further away from America. He is creating a completely isolated America, and he's doing it in a way that doesn't make any sense at all. The only way that I could possibly think that this makes sense is in the context of an abuser. An abuser makes their victim hate all the people around them, makes them feel as though the only person that they can possibly depend on is them. And if that's the point, then yeah, he's doing a good job. Because at one point or another, Americans are only going to be able to depend on this country. Because if he literally thinks that Europeans are going to be like, oh, well, actually, they've done a bunch of dumb shit. And also, the trade war thing sucked. Oh, and they, left us hanging. But hey, we've got a history. That's regarded. Well regarded.
Down to is, guys, Christians are awesome, and we really like Christians from Europe because they look a certain way. You can kind of figure out which way they look. And the other thing too, he goes on to talk about how too many immigrants and too many people of cultures that aren't compatible with Christianity, according to Vance and that kind of people. aren't good.
Yeah, he knows who
That's
he's
basically what
talking
it
to.
boils down to. So,
job for them.
Later, Jake.
If you have a country like Germany, where you have another few million immigrants come in from countries that are totally culturally...
See, that's smart. He's trying to spread the xenophobia. Because if he can spread the xenophobia, then it makes everybody else... if he spreads the xenophobia, he makes America look no different than anybody else. See, for these guys, the game that they're playing is that if they can get the rest of the globe to agree that everybody should be xenophobic and everybody should be fearing the other, then America can create like cultural ties with hate and anger. Obviously, any relationship based out of fear is a bad relationship, even when that fear is that like you're in common defense of each other's values. Any type of relationship needs to be built on a foundation of trust, hope, faith, good, positive ideologies. You can't have an alliance that was built off hate of the other, because if you do, eventually that turns inward, and then you have the same strategy used against you. This is what I'm saying. Is we can talk all day about the flaws and faults of J.D. Vance or Donald Trump or Elon Musk as human beings. Those are all day long, entertaining as fuck. You can talk about all of them. But the most important flaws and faults that we need to be pointing out when it comes to these people is that their logic is absolutely fucking dumb. There's nothing about their ideas that is some kind of like high intellect shit. And that's because Donald Trump's the president of the United States. If J.D. Vance were the president of the United States, you'd have actually probably a lot more to worry about as far as subversive action happens. If he was president of the United States, you would probably have to be a lot more concerned about the way that the government is involved in your life and stuff. Because Donald Trump, if you look at Donald Trump in 2016, what he did was he tried to push through all the stuff that he's pushing through now, but he had guardrails. He had Mike Pence. He had other people around him that were like, yo, we kind of still want to have our jobs after you're gone, which didn't work out for them. They still got fired. But they said that. They were like, we don't really want you to do this dumb shit. Now, the guardrails are off. Now, Elon Musk gets to threaten these people with primaries, and he gets to tell the Congress, the Senate, all these people, if you fuck with Donald Trump and try to stop him, then I will pay for people to primary against you, and you will lose your job. That's why they're so quiet. We should all be aware that the most important thing to point out is not the stupid, entertaining bullshit, but the actual foundational fucking disagreement that we have with the way they go about doing these things. That's why it's getting fucking shit on in courts, is because federal judges are going, what the fuck? No, you can't do that's what? Who said that you could do that? And it's like Elon Musk said I could do it.
Incompatible with Germany, then it doesn't
Bob
matter
Cox,
what
I'm
I
getting
think
all
about
the
Europe.
fucking all
for
my
the Fox
fucking
News crowd,
agitators
they want
coming
people
in
to
today.
look a certain kind of way,
Agitate me, Bob.
pray a certain kind of way, and I'm being
I'm
quiet
being
about
radicalized
it.
by communists
this is
from
the
Europe.
world that we live in, and it goes. It's really hard
Bob, why is
to
your icon
have these
gray
conversations
now?
to
It's
just
supposed to be
perfectly
fucking
frank,
blue.
because how do I talk to someone?
Bob
and
is
Vance
the Communist
actually not a
Party.
stupid person. He's actually smart. But he pretends to be dumb, and he
all my
panders to an
agitators
audience
are
who
here
frankly
today.
is dumb.
I like
and I know
this.
I'm being a little mean here, and
I love to
it's
fight.
frustrating, right? and I can swear and cuss and do all these kind of things, but I just wanted to every day I just try to show you guys who these people really are, and it should be obvious the more that you see it. Here's Musk, laughy face, the kind of stuff that he tweets out every single time. We're on our way to freedom. Then he's got, so I guess that would be Washington probably. Then we have the founding fathers
That
of
would
the
be
Declaration of
Washington.
Independence. Let's just add a little government. And then suddenly, I guess now Musk is claiming we're in a police state with our.
You want to know the best part about that? It's how historically illiterate these people are. George Washington was a royalist. George Washington didn't want America to divulge itself from the fucking monarchy. And if you would like to read about that, is a nice big book. It's a nice big book. It's called Washington. It's by Ron Chernow. It's a great book. It's only about 1,000 pages. So you guys should be able to get through that pretty quick. If you want to know actual historical facts about who Washington was and why that meme is fucking dumb, it's because George Washington did not want to disengage from the royalty. He found himself in a spot where he had to take charge for that army. And just by the way, that crossing of the Delaware was right after we almost didn't become a country because of Valley Forge as well. So there's that too. Like I said, my main fucking problem is that so many people want to have opinions on shit and don't know a fucking thing about them. It's like me trying to talk about like fucking women's fucking bodily fluids. Like I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like, yeah, it's fucking that time of the month, bro. Like you don't know shit. Shut the fuck up. God, I hate people.
Crap.
What's up, God Marine?
It's strange because it
does not have any pictures.
Kind of preach to this.
I'm sorry.
People, I guess, who hate
the Napoleon one has
that's
some
what
pictures.
Musk is trying to,
There's no
cultivate in their audience,
bro.
and then he tries to sell you like, okay, so if government's bad and everyone's out to get you, then you should buy the Cybertruck to protect yourself from the zombies. That's the weird mentality that we're in. And the Vance people, right over him, he's like, oh well, we're all Christian and we're getting under attack by all sides by all these non-European, non-Christian people. Oh my God, we're really in trouble. That's who these people are. That's the stuff that they say. Like all I have to do is to show you who they are. And some people, these kind of messages appeal to them, right?
Yep.
They
That's
now
100%
want
what
to
it is.
attack law firms. They hate judges. They hate the law. And I just want you to think logically about this stuff. What kind of people hate law and judges and say police or
Oh, did he say I want you to think logically? They don't think logically. They don't. There's not logic. It's about owning the libs, and that's it, dude. That's it. That's all they care about. There is not a single fucking logical bone in their body. Over the last 2 years of doing this channel, I have learned this. And that is, you can say to them, wait a minute, you got a thin blue line on your sticker? Don't you have 2 felonies? And they'll go, what? Yeah? Isn't that weird that you got a thin blue line on your car? But you got 2 felonies? I told you guys. I fucking got into it with that fucking Trumper at a fucking stoplight. Because I do be talking shit. Real life. YouTube. It don't matter. Just be talking shit. And I told him, I go, yeah, motherfucker, I ain't voting for no fucking felon. And he went, I'm a felon! It don't make any goddamn sense. Are you guys the party of law and order? Hell yeah, we are! Did you break the law and commit a felony? Yeah, I did! Okay. There's no logic to being a Trump supporter. Fucking, you want to see the economy doing well? Yeah, the economy needs to be doing good. Okay, here's all these facts and statistics to show that the economy was doing great. Here's a bunch of facts and statistics to show that the economy isn't doing good anymore. So does that make you feel like maybe this guy isn't good with the economy? No, it's good. But the numbers, I don't like numbers. I hate school and I hate education. At least they're consistent with that. They are consistent with that.
Or people are out there to protect you, right? Criminals. It's like the Joker and the Riddler and Scarecrow and whatever. Pick your favorite Batman, villain, the Penguin, whoever. Sit around and just complain about the law and the judges that want to expose them for who they are. And this is a real problem. And what's unfortunate about this stuff is that they're are so good at entertaining people, because they are.
Shit on me
Trump's an
harder, Daddy.
entertainer The same way Musk is an entertainer. They're really good entertainers, but it doesn't necessarily make great for government. And I was thinking about this as well, sort of how we got to the point where we are. It's a combination of worship of wealth on Wall Street, guys. And we talk about the economy. We talk about the stock market here on the channel. We
How
totally
much
do.
money you have.
But I never come from the point of view as like I worship it and that you have to worship anyone who has money. I think that's a pretty sick way of thinking about the world, to be perfectly frank. And if you've ever been around people who have money, you'll realize some of these people are just frankly born to wealthy families. It doesn't make them smarter than you. It doesn't mean that they work harder than you. So then going back to, the burning the Teslas and hitting them with the bowling balls or whatever, you just have to ask yourself, what kind of world do we want to live in? Do you just want to live in this reality TV based world where we're mostly focused on entertainment? Or do we actually want serious people who understand government and actually want to do things the right way?
Yep.
That's a question that I propose. So I do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you all in the next video.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.